Hey guys, welcome back to the Prehistoric Life Podcast. And today we're back with another interview with Michael Wallington. Would you like to
Hi, guys.
introduce yourself?
Pardon?
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Wallington. I am a geology student at the College of Charleston. Okay, well, I'm double majoring in biology and geology, but geology is my main focus, and that's because I have a concentration in paleontology, and I am studying to become a paleontologist.
So the most generic question that I kind of start every interview off with is, what is your favorite dinosaur?
I think he asked me this the last time I was on too. I don't know if I said the exact same answer, but it's kind of like choosing a favorite child. And I'm sure you hear this a lot just from the people you have on, but for me, it's like I love them all. I can't like choose one that I really, really like more than any of the others. That has changed over the years, especially once I started working in a museum and I got that question more often. So now the gun to my head answer would be Parasaurolophus.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Yeah. However, the caveat is I only say that Parasaurolophus is my favorite because if you were to ask me to bring back any dinosaur from the dead, I could only see one. Parasaurolophus is probably going to be my choice just because I think they look very pretty. I'd love to see what it looks like in person.
And then release them into the wild and ruin the ecosystem.
Oh, God, yeah, that'd be beautiful. I mean, just any of the Lambeosaurian group, I feel, would be a solid choice to bring back. I actually had a conversation with my advisor, Dr. Persons, about this 2 years ago in the field, where it's one of those like 2-hour-long drives and there's nothing but time to kill.
I mean,
so me and another guy both asked him, was like, if you could bring back one dinosaur back from the dead, what would it be? And I think scientifically speaking, Tyrannosaurus Rex might be one of the better choices for that. Maybe a sauropod.
My thought on T-Rex is, if you were to bring it back, a lot of modern animals it wouldn't be able to hunt.
Oh, no, the question's not like how it would do in an ecosystem. It's just what could we learn from a living animal?
Most definitely. T-Rex would probably be the most, we have the most on it currently. Well,
yeah, that's the other the one caveat to that question, or that answer, I think would be that. Same for raptors too.
If you really want to mess up the ecosystem, what you do is you get like Protoceratops or Leptoceratops, because they will breed like rabbits, and people will be like, "Oh, it's a cute little animal," and they'll treat it like a dog, but it's not. And then they'll just release it into the wild, and then they'll just start breeding and taking up a bunch of land. And
I don't know. We don't know the breeding rates for ceratopsians, which I think that would be a fascinating question to figure out. I don't know how you would, but we're in the golden age of paleo. Someone's gonna hopefully find a rough estimate sooner or later.
Well, that specific Protoceratops, they did live in relatively large herds, if you will.
I don't know the herd count numbers off the top of my head, so I can't
larger
confirm.
Than Triceratops, I can tell you that much. I'm pretty sure it's larger than Triceratops.
Yeah, well, that's not saying much. So the largest group of ceratopsians we found is 5. And I mean, if you were to bring back a Centrosaurus, that species might be able to do some ecological damage just based on how large they are.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. The thing that I think would be the most destructive might be some sort of sauropod herd.
Oh, yeah, no, most definitely. Just release like a herd of like Argentinosaurus right into like the Amazon rainforest.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's a good choice. I wonder how they would do in a jungle ecosystem. I'm sure they'd be fine because of how massive they are, but because we don't see elephants in jungles. No. I take that back. There are a group of elephants.
Just not the Amazon rainforest specifically.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good point. I'm getting into this is the realm of biology and ecology. I don't know as much as I should. And that's another thing every paleontologist, I think, should have a good grasp on is modern animals, modern analogs.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah.
But I mean, it is an interesting concept because I feel personally, to like really disrupt an ecosystem, don't know why this is the opening conversation we started on, you would probably want something smaller rather than larger.
In terms of,
Sauropod is just the drastic just size. It'll just tear everything apart. I mean,
yeah, but I thought the question was about what would do the most damage to modern ecosystems.
I really don't think that like if you just released a T-Rex out in the woods in like South Carolina, it would be able to do much.
One T-Rex on its own? No, I don't think it would be able to take over an entire ecosystem. It would definitely alter a local one. Oh, that sounds like actually the beginnings of a really good book.
Jurassic Park?
Yeah, did you ever, I'm getting off tangent already, but did you ever read like the Killer Species books as a kid? Because we're roughly the same age.
I don't think I did, sadly.
Well, the whole concept was, sorry, go ahead.
Never too late to check them out, though.
Oh yeah, no, I don't read a lot of young adult books anymore. I mostly read science fiction and horror stories now. And the Killer Species book kind of is a good example of that because it's a mix of both, but it's for kids. But it's about this mad scientist who lives in Florida. Surprise, surprise. And in order to get rid of some of the invasive species, he comes up with his own breed of hybrid monsters. And in the first novel, it's like a flying alligator hybrid that's meant to eat all the Burmese pythons.
That's
quite and they call them pterogators.
Quite the name too. I mean,
oh yeah, no, they were fun. I loved reading them. But now I'm just imagining someone doing like a book where there's just a T-Rex is released in the wild and they have to figure that out.
Also, I guess my only thing is like, obviously there's humans nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Inevitably, some doofus will get eaten by the T-Rex or stepped on by the T-Rex because it's in the way, because they're in the way of the T-Rex. And then whatever local authority will have to call in National Guard or whatever, and they'll just hunt it down. So,
yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know. Well, I'm very curious to see if T-Rex would actually and again, we're getting into like speculation that it's like asking which dinosaur would win in a fight, it's kind of a pointless question, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
But I don't
battles on this channel, but
yeah, I'm very curious to see it. I would be very curious to see if like Tyrannosaurs would view us as a prey item or not.
I do not think it would actively hunt us unless it got into like a large crowd of people. So if there's like one dude in the woods and one T-Rex, I don't think the T-Rex would actively hunt the one person.
So why would the large crowd be a better idea?
Just a lot of one thing in one area. Think of like an anteater with ants. It doesn't target the one lone ant. It targets where all of the ants are.
Yeah, but I think you're comparing like two completely different animals there.
Yeah, but like it's kind of the same reason why like a lion would actively hunt a zebra instead of like a mouse.
Zebra, yeah.
If a mouse comes across a lion, then yes, the lion would probably eat it, but it won't actively go out of its way to specifically hunt mice.
So are we more like mice or are we more like zebras?
We're more like mice. To a T-Rex, it would probably hunt like.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, here in South Carolina, I don't really know what it would hunt, which is why I don't think it would be able to survive well because
I think it'd probably live off deer pretty well.
I don't think it could catch a deer.
That's good. What's the top speed of a deer? I don't know off the top of my head. I
don't either. This is why Google exists.
Maybe a young one could catch up with one. That's my theory, is that if we were to ever have
37 to 50 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, no, they
miles an hour for white-tailed deer.
And we have whitetails locally, so yeah, that would definitely be able to outrun a Tyrannosaurus. Oh, that's a good question to ask Dr. Persons, because he's
Although T-Rex says 9.9 to 45 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's the thing about T-Rex is the speed estimates vary wildly. You have like Dr. Persons is more on it was a faster animal, and you have others that say it was like so slow it couldn't even chase down a human. I don't know where I fall on that spectrum just because doesn't make sense.
I
Doesn't
feel
make
that
sense.
since the deer is smaller and more agile, it will be able to maneuver easier than the T-Rex.
Sure.
Because the T-Rex is definitely bigger and bulkier than a deer, so the deer will be able to make like a turn, and then the T-Rex will be like, "Wait a minute." So
yeah, but like in terms of like what other prey items there are for an animal that big in South Carolina, I can't think of any.
unless it hunts bears, but that's very specific, and I don't think there's enough bears in South Carolina.
No, I don't think so either. And black bears themselves aren't particularly. How much does a black bear weigh?
That's a good question.
I'm looking that up now. $200 to 600 pounds. Okay, so that would be a good enough meal.
Yeah, but I mean,
again, there's not many of them.
It would definitely, and they're not very abundant. So yeah, it would be in South Carolina. It would be very difficult for a T-Rex to.
Yeah, especially because like a Tyrannosaurus environment is a lot more similar to the low country of South Carolina, very coastal wetland area. We don't. I've never seen. I've lived in the low country my whole life. I've never seen a black bear out here. I'm sure they exist, but they're not near the coastal areas.
I've only seen black bears like in
upstate,
and I've only seen like 2 ever. I mean, they do exist in the low country, just not as
only in zoos.
Yeah, I guess that's how a T-Rex could survive. It breaks into a zoo.
Yeah, I think that would probably be a pretty decent option for it.
But you put like a T-Rex in like Alberta. I don't quite know.
Modern Alberta?
I guess farther north. Because I'm thinking more like caribou, reindeer, yak, moose. It would be able to hunt those.
Nanuqsaurus might be able to do fine in that sort of an environment.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not even.
But yeah, no, T-Rex, we only find them in coastal areas.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I was thinking. So you take Albertosaurus and put it there, it'll do fine.
I don't know. I think Albertosaurus lived in a similar environment. I don't know the sedimentology of when and where. I know it was Alberta, obviously. I can't remember the specifics off the top of my head, but I think it was very similar to Tyrannosaurus.
A lush, heavily vegetated semi-tropical.
Yeah. For Albertosaurus?
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially what we have here in South Carolina. Same environment as T-Rex.
Yeah, but like Nanuqsaurus, that would do fine. Because that's just,
I mean, that would be another interesting animal to see in person.
The only thing I would be worried about is because this shows it in like this specific piece of art shows it in like basically just Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
So was Alaska really like snowy and crap for all the time, or was that?
Let me find. I actually just got a book on this that I haven't read yet. Yeah, Dinosaurs of Darkness. This is the 2nd edition here by Thomas H. Rich and Patricia Vickers Rich, which actually goes all into detail about dinosaurs in polar environments. I'm very excited to give it a read.
Because, I mean, you also have, like, I feel like Cryolophosaurus could do some damage.
Cryolophosaurus?
Cryolophosaurus.
Yeah, I'm sure it could. Any big theropod could. I would not want to meet in a dark alleyway at night.
But I feel like the larger the theropod, the less of a chance I feel it has. So there is definitely a cutoff.
Less of a chance it has to what?
To like, because I mean, most of the animals that are around I'm mainly thinking of like in North America.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to release like a Spinosaurus into the Great Lakes, it'd probably do fine. But a T-Rex in like the Midwest would not do well.
I don't even know if a Spinosaurus in the Great Lakes would do as well as we think it would, just on paper. Just because it lived in a river
That's true.
River environment.
Release it in the Congaree. Let's see what happens.
And yeah, something like that is probably going to be better because have you been up to the Great Lakes area?
I haven't. I've been to Maine.
I haven't really. I've seen the Great Lakes. I forget what the one is that Chicago sits directly on, but it's essentially its own ocean. It's not completely still water because there's the guys on the Edmund Fitzgerald could attest to that, but it's a more like a coastal environment than anything, like a river delta. I think modern Egypt, oddly enough, might be a pretty good place.
Lake Michigan, just release them in the Nile. That'd probably still.
Mm-hmm. The Nile, I think, would probably be a great option.
You have a lot of fish species. I'm sure a Spinosaurus could mess up a hippopotamus. You got crocodiles. I'm most definitely sure a Spinosaurus could mess up a saltwater crocodile.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm sure the croc would put up a fight though.
Oh, definitely. But like some medium to smallish. I feel like Ceratosaurus, Carnotaurus, Abelisaurus. If you were to release an Abelisaurus, it'd be able to cause some damage.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're smaller, more nimble. They could move around a lot easier.
I think a Megalosaurus or any kind of Megalosaurid would be really scary to have come back from the dead.
Any raptor, just release like 20 Utah raptor.
Oh yeah, it would suck because it would be like releasing angry cassowaries into the world, but I don't think that would be like that. I think from what we know of raptors, it would be a little bit closer to what we know with modern day birds.
Don't mess with it. It won't kill you.
I don't know. I think that'd be aggressive.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I do see like a Utah raptor just being like a more aggressive cassowary, and cassowaries are already pretty aggressive.
Yeah, but cassowaries are also herbivorous. They're not carnivorous.
That's true. So,
which is I always thought was weird because I don't know of any natural predators that the cassowary has. Because it lives in New Zealand. I can't think of any big predators that could go after it. And again, I might be showing my own ignorance here with that, but nothing comes to mind.
Crocodiles, pythons, dingoes, quolls, rodents, feral pigs, and small marsupials. Huh.
Are all threats to a cassowary?
Yep.
Huh. Okay, the crocodiles make sense.
Crocodiles and pythons make sense. Dingoes make sense.
Yeah, but I still think like a full-grown cassowary is going to be able to disembowel a dingo quickly.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. But I think most of the small rodents are like they come and steal the eggs or kill the young. Things like that. Feral pig could probably definitely do some damage depending on the size.
Yeah, that's a good point. Pigs in general, I just wouldn't want to fight with, especially like a full-grown, like a big male wild boar.
I was watching a video. Pigs would actually do surprisingly well in the Mesozoic.
Oh, they do well wherever they are.
I mean, they're horribly invasive. So
I know, yeah. That's like there's a thing that I have where it's like I know that pigs are a major problem, but you gotta just. They're like rats. You got to just admire how good they are at being animals.
It is very weird.
Yeah, they're able to adapt and thrive in almost any environment that you throw them in.
And that is a very good thing to have. What else was that? Grizzly bears are like that. They're generalists. But Canada to Mexico. So
Yeah, but nowhere near to the extent that a pig is. They're not
Oh
at.
yeah, no, most definitely not. But like,
Yeah, a grizzly might be able to do okay in
you
the.
put them in the I'll send you the videos after this. I mean,
Maybe like the early Jurassic might be a good spot for it.
yeah, that's
Like a
actually where you
big,
put it in the Jurassic. Because I mean,
no, Triassic.
oh,
I should. I misspoke there.
the only thing about the Triassic would be that it would be too hot for a grizzly bear.
Okay, that's a good point. I was thinking more so just based off of the local ecosystem. I feel like it'd be able to. Well,
yeah,
I don't know about most of the plants.
it would just switch to a more protein-based diet, I guess, and it just
Yeah, we are dealing with bears.
all the other predators, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Yeah, I think maybe it would have to worry about a big Rhysuchian. Ooh, that's another contender for favorite prehistoric animal. Rhysuchians, phytosaurs, those really early crocodilomorphs are beautiful.
oh yeah, most definitely. But release like a mosasaurus into the modern ocean.
I think it'd be fine.
I mean, it wouldn't be changing that much. It'd just hunt
Yeah,
sharks.
Yeah, one mosasaur I think wouldn't be too big of an issue. It's the same thing with like one tyrannosaur. Yeah, it's going to mess up the local ecology, but in a broader scale, I don't see it doing too much damage.
No. Now, if we release 700 mosasaurs, that would cause some damage.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a stupid thing to say, but I think like
that is kind of like, yeah, you release 700 lions anywhere in the world, it's going to cause some damage. I mean, it kind of
maybe a ceratopsian, like a big triceratops, fully grown. You release one of those back into the world, I think it would probably struggle the most. You have a big, large herbivore.
Ceratopsians were?
Hmm?
Was grass around when ceratopsians were?
Mm-mm. Ceratopsians were not grazing animals. You can see that in their teeth, and also just the fact that so in like grazing mammals, for example, like horses and stuff, you have what's called a hypsodonty, which the teeth are extremely elongated, and that's because they're constant. And mammals are also a different beast too, because our lifespan is kind of dictated by how long we can use our teeth.
Yeah,
that's what kills elephants is starvation. But like if you have a lot more of a tooth surface to work with, especially if you're eating like really gritty food close to the ground, like grass, for example, you're going to wear it down a lot slower if you have more of it to use, so you can live a lot longer because you only get 2 sets of teeth.
Oh, most definitely. We do. I mean, T-Rex was probably more like a shark in that sense, where they had several.
Yeah, archosaurs as a whole don't need to worry about. Mammals are weird in that we're the only ones that have 2 sets of teeth.
Yeah, most dinosaurs I feel would shed
Mm-hmm.
that more reptilian bird kind of cross.
Yeah, no, I think I think that's actually the more basal condition is to be able to shed teeth limitlessly. Whereas humans, not humans, but mammals, generally speaking, we have very, very complex teeth because we can occlude, so ours can fit together real well. But in order to do that, yeah, it makes it more efficient at chewing and processing food. But it's a lot like a T-Rex can just like boom tooth, boom tooth, boom tooth, and constantly go through it. Same with a shark. Whereas with us, we have these weird, like you look at your molar, just at a
very unique.
Weird. You know?
Your canines are very unique. Your front teeth are
canines. You have all these different teeth throughout your entire jaw. Whereas you look at not just a T-Rex, but like a hadrosaur dental battery, which is just like a dental masterpiece. And it's just all these same teeth all doing the same exact thing throughout the entire jaw.
Like if I were to just it's like what part of the shark's mouth was this from? It's like I don't know. It doesn't.
I'm sure there's someone who can tell, but I don't know either.
It's kind of also like all the teeth do the same thing in the same place, like constantly, so it isn't
But if
changing.
but if you watch like an episode of Forensic Files or something like that, they're able to tell, oh, we found this stray tooth, so we can tell that this was from this part of the jaw in this position. The person was this old. Our teeth are very weird.
Mammals are very unique in that sense.
Yes, they are. But that's why we only have 2 sets of teeth, is because it's really hard to just regrow that.
And I mean, humans are like or not humans. Mammals in general are like modern mammals are like evolutionary just exploded. I mean,
well, we took over the place of the dinosaurs after they were gone.
There wasn't. Dinosaurs had a long time, like a long time to come into existence and fill all these niches. And then mammals, like, as soon as dinosaurs were gone, just push. Mm-hmm. And I do think that's why we have more generalists. There are generalist animals now. Not saying that there weren't generalist dinosaurs. I'm not going to make that definitive answer, but there were definitely a lot of niches that were filled with like one specific kind of creature.
I suppose so. I think there would be more generalists in the prehistoric world than you think, although I don't know anything specifically enough to say with like absolute certainty, yes, this was a generalist, this was not. I can think of like Rugops. I've heard the idea that it may have been an obligate scavenger. That's the only specialist I can really think of. Oviraptors, I'm sure, might have a more unique diet. Therizinosaurs, maybe. That's a good point.
Even like, well, like look at like a bear's diet versus like a T-Rex's diet. T-Rex was very much so heavily carnivorous.
Obligate carnivore.
I mean, just based on the teeth alone. But like a bear, it will eat whatever you put in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the same with like.
So you're talking about more omnivores in mammals than in dinosaurs?
I guess, yeah. I mean.
Yeah, because I don't know of many like that we know for sure were omnivorous. I mean,
ornithomimids. Ornithomimids, but they
ornithomimids. Yeah.
Hunting Edmontosaur or something. They were just eating little lizards and crap. So.
Yeah, but that's closer to what I'm thinking of. It's kind of like how you'll see a horse or something eat a snake.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, it's omnivorous, but I don't know if it's
one-off.
Very
one-off-ish. There's probably.
Yeah, and I think that I may not be giving the ornithomimids their due credit. I'm sure that they were a lot more insectivorous and were eating smaller, more like a modern bird.
It's also, we're just saying ornithomimids. If you look at like one specific one, like Mononychus, where it has like the one claw specifically for like stabbing tree trunks and crap.
Oh yeah, and it's like this weird little termite eating thing. Yeah, I've seen the artwork for that.
That specifically, yeah. But if you're like Gallimimus, you're like, okay, that probably was more grazing, or not grazing, but like plant-based.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like, I was talking to somebody about this. Raptors probably were a lot more like wolves than we think.
How you mean, just in terms of like pack hunting animals?
Well, not necessarily pack. Like they live in groups, but they'll also sometimes hunt alone. If that makes sense.
I mean, raptor social behavior, I don't know enough about to say anything for certain.
Because, I mean, if you look at it like, oh, there's a moose. Okay, it might take 2 or 3 wolves to take down a moose. But if there's a rabbit, why would more than one wolf hunt that rabbit? So I mean, if you think about that in the same sense as raptors, which are more, like the famous pack animal or pack hunter, if you will. I mean,
I have seen that idea called into question more recently, though.
If there's like a smaller theropod, dinosaur or like a one protoceratops. Well, actually, protoceratops, they probably did hunt in groups. But if there's like a smaller little tiny lizard thing or theropod, they wouldn't take like 3 raptors to take it down. Just one would tackle it, kill it, and then eat it. I mean, it's not like that's also not like a weird concept. Most pack animals are like that, so.
Yeah, but you're still going to have packs going out after larger prey together in coordination.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if Tyrannosaurus truly was a pack animal, if there was... I do think that Tyrannosaurus has... Me, personally, I don't think that they all were pack animals. I do think that there were some solitary tyrannosaurs, and then there were some that lived in groups.
Kind
of like people. I mean, some people live out.
Are we talking about like Tyrannosaurus Rex specifically, like some individuals were more solitary than others, or Tyrannosaurs as a whole? Because we have evidence of like varying levels of like group sizes.
Looking specifically at Tyrannosaurus Rex, some were probably pack animals, some were not. Looking at tyrannosaurs in general, it would vary species to species. Same with like how ceratopsians are. I mean, Triceratops is a very solitary creature, but like Centrosaurus wasn't.
Like, I think if we're talking about tyrannosaurs as a whole, I think the evidence more from what I know of now, again, I got to remind myself and your audience that I'm still like a baby in paleo. Even though I'm going in my junior year.
I know even less than you, so I'm kind of speaking out of the woods, if you will.
You'll learn more, and I feel like a lot of paleontology is knowing when you don't know.
I don't want to say that it's a lot of guesswork, because saying guesswork is very unscientific, if you will, but there is a lot of like making assumptions.
I remember one of the best comparisons I ever heard about it actually came from someone I'm not a huge fan of, but he put it pretty well. He was a guy that I used to work with. He was like, yeah, paleontology is a lot like being a forensic scientist, which, everyone kind of like can understand that part. It's like, okay, yeah, it's like
you're looking at basically just dead bodies. So
you're looking at dead bodies. You're trying to figure out what happened, but it's the same way in that. And what I really liked about it was that it's like, if it's, hang on, where am I going with this? I'm losing my train of thought. Because I did kind of say it right there. It's like, yeah, it's a lot like forensic sciences. You cannot possibly know what happened. You cannot like know for certain because you weren't there. All you have is, like, all right, here's the evidence that is left behind. And we have to do our best to try and piece together who the killer was or what this animal was doing, what happened, based off of the scan evidence that we have left. And there's a lot of work that goes into that. And I feel like
there's even less with dinosaurs than humans. So
it's even worse. It's like there's no way to not have a contaminated crime scene in paleontology, because you've got at best 65 million years.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Since anything's looked at it, or since it's been fresh.
And we ain't got no witnesses to call up, so
no witnesses, no nothing. All you can do is just go off of like that same forensic methodology and mindset. It's funny enough, there's actually another guy in our paleo program, Marcus, is currently, or last time I was talking to him, he actually was really excited about a forensic anthropology class that CFC offers. And a lot of the stuff that we were learning about in paleo and that we take into consideration on a daily basis, forensic pathologists do as well. Or forensic anthropologists, I should say. Which, it shouldn't be surprising. It's essentially the same thing. So, again, I think I made this point on my last time I was on here, and forgive me because I'm rambling now. It's like for paleo, the gold standard is beyond reasonable doubt. If it's good enough for the modern court system.
A T-Rex with its jaws wrapped around an Edmontosaurus, you can kind of assume how the Edmontosaurus died.
Yeah, and when you've got T-Rex bite marks on Edmontosaurus bones, it's like, well, the proof is in the pudding,
But then you have other stuff like, okay, well, what was the Edmontosaurus doing? That was a reason why it was targeted. Was there something else in the ecosystem? I mean, there's all kinds of other.
Yeah, there's a lot you'll never be able to know specifically, like color, although we've gotten pretty close with a few animals, like a Psittacosaurus.
And specifically Sinosauropteryx.
Sinosauropteryx, that's a beautiful specimen.
We know it's a ginger, so.
Yeah. I keep thinking it reminds me for some reason of the red-tailed fox.
It really.
I don't know why that's the first thing to come to mind, but it's just the ginger and the big fluffy tail.
Like a weird dinosaur. I don't even know, like a lemur kind of.
Yeah, I'd want one as a pet.
It'd be an exotic pet.
Oh yeah, give me a pet Sinosauropteryx. I feel like they'd make good pets.
And very. It's very.
Yeah, he's adorable.
He really is. It's kind of just like. I mean, it's basically just having like a little bird kind of. Well, not little, but kind of like having a pet bird. So.
Yeah, I can't look at him and not smile. It's just cute.
The only difference is they won't fly, so don't throw it out the window.
Oh yeah, no. To me, it reminds me more like a cat, and I'm a big cat person. In fact, is she in here? Where's Pepper? Oh, she's not in here. Oh well.
But like that specifically, I mean, and also I've heard some people make estimates that are wrong. You look at older things that are wrong. I mean, I say wrong, but kind of like outdated ideas.
Yeah, paleo is always changing. Stuff from a year ago is now horribly outdated.
I mean,
stuff a year from now will be like far more advanced than what we have,
And people constantly crap on like Jurassic Park. Granted, I will give those people Velociraptor was horribly wrong. The Dilophosaurus was just horribly wrong too. But it's also like, if you look at the T-Rex in Jurassic Park and think about the times, you're like, okay, that you can't get mad.
I don't even
time.
This is gonna make a lot of people upset, but I don't even think that. I don't feel like Jurassic Park has an obligation to be as scientifically accurate as possible. It's entertainment first and foremost.
That is also the primary thing. It's also like, it's a movie. There's a little bit of it that's just shut up and watch it.
Yeah, no, that should be the whole thing. It's like one of my favorite films of all time are like Kong Skull Island.
Oh yeah, like the V-Rex or whatever. It's like
the V-Rex and
what is that thing? But it's like,
is Skull Island? It's been a while since I watched it, which should show you how bad of a moviegoer I am. It's like, one of my favorite movies. I haven't seen it in a long time. But Kong Skull Island is great. I love. What's the other one with the skull crawlers, the big two-legged things? Is that also Skull Island? That's another one, right?
That is that. I think that is Skull Island.
I feel like it. Let me look that up. Okay, I'll be real. It's not one of my favorite films. I just love all the monsters in it.
The 2017 one?
Yeah, the 2017. Okay, so there were two Skull Islands. Or is it just King Kong and Kong Skull Island?
Are you talking about like the original King Kong where he like climbs the Empire State Building?
No, I'm talking about like the newer ones with like Jack Black in it.
Yeah, that's
and the V-Rex.
Skull Island. That's just Kong Skull Island.
Just Kong Skull Island?
Yeah.
The one from 2017 or
that's the
anyway, I'm getting off track. But like the thing I love about that movie is that it's fun.
the thing about like Jurassic Park and Kong Skull Island is they're not marketed as documentaries. If they were
Yeah,
marketed as documentaries and they're trying to portray it as facts, then yes, I would have a problem with it. But they're not. It's
they're not.
entertainment.
Yeah.
It's meant to like have fun with it.
And it's like I do have a problem when people get upset with like, yeah, no, it's not scientifically accurate. They're not doing it as best they can. It's like, hey, first of all, it's going to be wrong in a year anyway, even if they did it accurately.
Have to go back and edit the movie every other year.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. Like one of my favorite films of all time would be the Walking with Dinosaur series.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's coming back in 2025.
I know, I'm very excited for that. That's going to be beautiful. But like if you look at the I was watching it, okay. I forced my girlfriend to watch the Walking with Dinosaurs movie with show with me.
The original ones.
Yeah, the original ones. And I'm going through and it's like, yeah, that's wrong now. That part ain't right anymore.
You look at it a little bit and you're like, this kind of hurts. I don't want to tear this apart.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's like I still think they're amazing works of scientific art on their own.
Well, it's also like a catalog to show like
Yes.
the evolution of like paleo science. You're like, this is what we thought back in, when did that come out?
Early 2000s. I think like 2005, I want to say.
I don't think I was actually alive whenever it came out. So
No, I think we were. When were you born?
2006. 2000. April
God,
16th,
I'm old.
2000.
Wait, it came out in 2000?
Yeah.
I wasn't alive then either. I was 3 years old when that series came out.
Then they have the what was that other one with the Pachyrhinosaurus?
Oh, that god awful movie from 2012?
I don't think that was, they called it Walking with Dinosaurs, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, I had a problem with that. Not because I didn't think I mean I saw it. It was an okay dinosaur film. I don't like the talking dinosaurs.
I mean,
you know, it to me, it's like the only problem I had with it was the fact that they put Walking with Dinosaurs name on it.
So honestly, I guess it's kind of weird to me because all the Pachyrhinosaurs could talk, but none of the was that Albertosaurus or Gorgosaurus?
I think it was Gorgosaurus that they have in that one.
All right, but none of
they're very similar animals. But I feel like it was Gorgosaurus, yeah.
I think it was Gorgosaurus, but it's like none of them can talk. Like,
yeah, it's got the same thing as the Land Before Time. It was like I felt like a modern Land Before Time.
They're trying to like keep them like mindless beasts, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, okay, so if we kill them off, you don't feel bad.
Yeah, I don't. And I understand it's for storytelling purposes. You got to have an antagonist. But I really liked, there's a great YouTube video just called Sharp Teeth. I forget the name of the animator who did it. He does some phenomenal work, I think. But he had this whole Dinosauria series.
I know exactly what I was about to pull that up.
Yeah, but Sharp Teeth, I think, is one of my favorite videos because it's like, yeah, it's an antagonist of the story of the Tyrannosaur, but it's not the villain. It's just a mother trying to feed her children.
So that kind of whole like, oh well, the big carnivores can't talk, but all the herbivores can talk. Is kind of like you remember that kids show Arthur?
Mm-hmm. I watched it as a little kid, but I don't remember anything about it.
In the show, the animals go to a zoo. You're like, wait a minute, what? I don't understand what's going on.
It's kids TV. You can't overthink things.
It's like like in Mickey Mouse, Goofy is a dog, but then they also have Pluto, who's a dog. You're like, are they keeping like Goofy's like brother with like autism as like a pet? I don't know what's going on here.
I don't. Yeah. I don't overthink stuff like that.
It is a very weird thought.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is like I'm a big Warhammer 40K fan.
Oh, well,
So there's a bunch of stuff in that setting that just makes no sense.
you're just like, don't overthink it. It doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah, well, it's not even like, oh my god, I can't overthink this. I can't overthink this. But it's more like, okay, fine. What did they do next?
Because that's me and my brother were talking about this. That old movie Red Dawn.
Red Dawn. Oh yeah, with the Wolverines.
Yeah, the Russians, they invade America, but they invade in
I
like.
haven't seen it, but I know. I just know the Wolverines part.
So the first, there was a remake of it, and they invade in Washington in the remake. The Russians invade Washington, which makes a lot more sense because it's just right on the coast. But in the original one, they like parachuted into Colorado, and you're like, why? Why would they just parachute into Colorado? That's like okay.
I don't know.
It's like that's a very weird state to start your invasion in.
It's like how in Mad Max, the like fuel is the most rare and precious thing in the world, but all you ever see is people running around in these massive cars.
It's kind of.
And I love the Mad Max film. Fury Road is great.
Mad Max too. Mad Max is the epitome of shut your brain off and just watch the movie.
But there's still some great symbolic storytelling that can be seen in those films, especially in Fury Road. I have not seen Furiosa yet, but I've heard it's very, very good, even though it bombed at the box office. Anyway, we're getting off topic. We're talking about Mad Max when we should be talking about dinosaurs.
We'll convert to Australia. What dinosaurs exist in Australia?
Crap.
All of them. Any dinosaur, if you told me it was still alive in Australia, I might believe you.
Well, there is the myth of Mekele and Mbembe out of the Congo.
That is something very funny to me, where they're like, look at this mythical creature from this time, and then it's just like a sauropod. You're like, wait a minute. did all the dinosaurs die? Are we sure?
Yeah. Well, I'm a firm believer in the idea that modern myths and like a lot of human stories about dragons and giants and all these other things.
No, that's
people who found fossils.
That's not like a modern believer thing. That's just is true. I mean,
yeah. I have a copy of the first Fossil Hunters, but I haven't read it yet. I've got a massive backlog of books I need to read.
I do too. I need to finish
my paleo shelf alone takes up this right here. Like all of it is natural history related.
Yep. I mean, I just have like a stack on my desk. I gotta finish the Origins of Species and Descent of Man.
Ah, yes, Darwin. Good old Darwin.
Very, very fun.
Yeah, and I have more that just aren't on the shelves. I have books all over my room.
I got my own crappy dinosaur catalog, if you will.
What, dinosaur catalog?
Yeah. I also have the history of paleontology in the back, and it looks like complete gibberish if I show it over camera. What was that? This book is falling apart too, because I forgot where specifically it was. I want to say Persia, where somebody wrote a book, and they basically just talked about like giants and dragons, and then there's just like actual just fossil records that he had in the book, and people were like, "Wait a minute."
Was he like finding footprints or something like that?
It's fun, like, because I mean, even the ancient Greeks, they did collect like fossils and fossilized shells and things. They just didn't call them fossils and things like that because they were just.
I remember reading that people in the Renaissance, like in Renaissance Italy, around the time of Da Vinci, they thought it was discarded leftovers from the dinners of Roman soldiers.
That is a very funny idea, but that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, not saying that they're like stupid or anything. A lot of those people probably have greater minds than us today.
Yeah, it's not that older people were stupid. It's just that they didn't have the knowledge we do.
That we do to just like be like, well, no.
Yeah,
and I mean, like,
people 250 years from now are going to look at us and those poor simpletons.
Oh, he's using a MacBook Air from 2017, and he should be using the ultralight super duper computer.
Yeah.
And I mean, just campfire tales in general. I mean, I could only imagine, like, because there are a lot of exposed dinosaur bones out west, so I could only imagine what the indigenous Native Americans, whatever you want to call them. I mean,
there's a book about that actually.
If I didn't know what a T-Rex was and somebody handed me a T-Rex tooth, I would be like, is this thing still alive? Do we have to worry about this? I mean, because I could, and even in Europe there's stuff, so I could only imagine what.
So the lady that I am thinking of is Adrienne Mayer, and she wrote a book called The First Fossil Hunters, but she also wrote another book, Fossil Legends of the First Americans. Yeah. But that one's about Native American mythology and how fossils probably influenced their stories.
I would be interested because, I mean, in South Carolina, there has been like pottery and stuff with like megalodon teeth and shark teeth in general embedded in it.
Really? I've not seen any of that. That's cool.
Ritualistically, I mean, you tell me if you didn't know what a megalodon was and you pulled a megalodon tooth out of the water, you wouldn't be like, all right, what we got here?
Well, I'm sure they knew what it was, a shark tooth.
Well, that specifically was, I mean, yeah, but they'd be like, this is a big shark tooth. And then as like trade builds up, they ship it, it gets tossed inland, and people don't really know what a shark is in like, I was about to say Nebraska. Well, yeah, they probably don't have, I mean, mini sharks in Nebraska.
Yeah, but you can find shark teeth in Kansas.
That is true, but I mean, gets out to that like center of the country. I mean, not really, unless you're actively know what you're looking for. They probably weren't finding many shark teeth. So
yeah, no, I'm sure they were stumbling across them, but they just didn't know what they were looking at. Again, this is where legends are come from. It's the same thing as dragons. You know, some farmer finds a big leg bone on his land or a beautiful skull of a theropod. It's like, oh crap, it's a dragon.
Yeah, I mean,
unicorn horns are just ammonite shells.
It's the Siberian unicorn.
Oh god, the Siberian unicorn.
I love Elasmotherium. Ice Age. I was about to call them dinosaurs.
Oh, I thought you were bringing up that one fossil reconstruction that they tried to make into a unicorn. You know the one I'm talking about, where it's just like it's this like just a skull, a spinal column on two legs, and just
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't even know I'd search up to find that.
Yeah, when I hear Siberian unicorn, my first thought is like, oh, fossil unicorn, and that's what I think, not the actual woolly rhino.
But like seeing an Elasmotherium would be really interesting.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. I would love to see an Irish elk.
Honestly,
that might be another contender for like favorite prehistoric animal. It's just the Irish elk, because again, my standard is what would I want to see in person. That would be up there.
Honestly, my biggest problem with Jurassic like World isn't even like the scientific dinosaurs. It's that for some reason people were bored of seeing dinosaurs, so they had to make a hybrid. It's like people still get excited to go to the zoo. People would definitely be excited to go see dinosaurs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's
because I think if someone were to try, I think if that we applied that logic to a modern zoo, and it's like some guy tried to breed a hybrid, he'd be locked up.
Why are you breeding elephants and tigers?
Yeah,
Don't
it's like,
worry about
what
it.
are you trying to do here, sir?
Well, no, they just get like ligers and weird things.
Oh yeah, people got upset when we cloned sheep. If someone tried to make a hybrid, it'd be a horrifying experience. Not a horrifying experience, but like people would get very upset over it.
That is very true. Although,
myself included, I think that would be a bad
if
idea.
we're talking about seeing dinosaurs in the wild, there are a lot that I don't want on that list because I don't feel like dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of running. But if we're talking about in a cage, that opens it. Well, not in a cage, but in like a little enclosure.
Enclosure, yeah.
That would open it up a lot more.
Oh yeah.
Any like Ankylosaurus, Kentrosaurus. I would love to see Stegosaurids, Ceratopsians, Ceratopsians, but
yeah. So, what's your favorite dinosaur? I've heard you ask the question, but I didn't answer it.
My favorite dinosaur personally is Allosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
Due to
it's a very popular choice.
Due to the Ballad of Big Al.
Oh, that's a good point. I love that film.
That was, I don't want to say my first exposure to dinosaurs because I mean, as a little kid, you always had somebody inevitably got the little dinosaur toy or whatever. But like media wise, that was my first true exposure to dinosaurs. It was either that or Jurassic Park, but still.
My first exposure was from Jurassic Park.
Oh, that makes a lot of that's yeah.
Yeah. My mom was sitting me down to eat. I was like 2 or 3 years old. I was barely even a toddler. And so she's feeding me at the kitchen table and she had the TV on and it was on commercials when she turned it on. And then it turns to Jurassic Park. And it's the scene where the Tyrannosaurus Rex breaks out and eats the lawyer. She frantically runs towards the TV to try and turn it off. But just before she gets to it, the lawyer gets, grabbed up, ripped apart and swallowed. And I apparently did not freak out at that. I got very excited. I started like clapping and like pointing at the screen.
Lawyer's dead.
Yeah, no, that's where everyone goes. Like, oh, so you've hated lawyers since you're a kid? It's like, no.
Lawyers
just means that I've been very invested in dinosaurs from that age, and also
It's not the death of the lawyer I was rooting for. It was the T-Rex.
Yeah, it was a T-Rex, and it was also, I think that explains a lot of like my personal taste in media because I love darker, I love a violent story. I think it's. I have a saying: it's like it's not entertaining unless someone dies in it.
There is. I don't know if it's actually supposedly canon, but in like the Jurassic Park universe, there was something where like some of the raptors got off the mainland and then just terrorized a small village in Costa Rica.
In the book, I think, yeah.
And it's like
I've never finished the book.
Can I have the book? Do you need to finish it?
You can get a copy. Really, they're real cheap.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Like a paperback. I got mine for like 10.
I have had this book for a good long while.
Oh yeah, the very fancy Barnes & Noble edition.
It's got both of them. The Lost World.
I thought about getting that. Yeah, I have both of my copies.
I feel obligated to own it.
I think every paleontologist should. It's like owning a copy of On the Origin of Species, but I have both of the soft covers.
That's like a Christian not owning the Bible. You're like, what are you doing, buddy?
Plenty of Christians don't own the Bible.
I mean, not a physical copy, but they have some kind of access to a copy. It's almost sacrilegious to not.
Yeah. Or like I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft fan, so I have 3 collections of all of his work.
I personally love Abelisaurids. Abelisaurianids. Let's make up new names, non-good scientific names.
Yeah, they're fun. They're weird. They're weird animals.
They very much so are.
I love learning about Carcharodontosaurids. I think they're another very fascinating group, and I wish I knew more about them. They're just big theropods. I mean, they follow the same niche as Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it's just they have such beautiful skulls.
They really do.
It's just looking at a Carcharodontosaurus skull or a Giganotosaurus, it's just gorgeous.
I like Majungasaurus. I would love to go to Madagascar and just dig up Majungasaurus. That
all I can think about when I hear the word Majungasaurus is Jurassic Fight Club.
Okay.
And how they made it look like a giant turkey.
My mind instantly does, like, I can't unhear Nigel Marven saying Carcharodontosaurus. I love the way he says it for no reason. It's just amazing to me.
Oh yeah, Nigel Marven's great. He's kind of like he's the guy who did Prehistoric Planet, right?
Prehistoric Park.
Prehistoric Park.
Prehistoric Planet was David Attenborough. Richard Attenborough is John Hammond.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Prehistoric Planet. That's the new one that came out. It's Prehistoric Park. You're right. But Nigel Marven, he's kind of like the Steve Irwin of dinosaurs, man.
He is amazing. I want them to do.
And it's so weird that he's not popular outside of dinosaur circles.
He does a lot of natural history stuff in general. Like he does a lot with modern animals in general. But
I did not know that.
He does a lot with dinosaurs. He got famous off of doing dinosaur stuff. So
yeah, Prehistoric Kingdom, the game. I know he's the voice actor there too, and he's playing himself.
Or whatever you want to call.
Yeah, he's. I love him. I consider him like Steve Irwin, man.
He's like the Steve Irwin for dinosaurs. It's fun.
Yeah, he's great. Although no one can ever beat Steve Irwin.
If I could get Nigel Marven's on the channel, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh god, that'd be so cool to do.
That would. I already have ties to the black market.
Paleo's a small world, man.
Ties to Nigel Marven's.
Yeah.
Rest his soul. If Steve Irwin was still alive, I would do whatever it takes to get him on the show too. He doesn't even have anything to do with dinosaurs. He'd just be cool to talk to.
His kids are still doing really good work. I follow them and I keep up with them. They restore my faith in humanity.
Yeah, Robert Irwin. Doesn't he like live at the zoo?
I think he does. I don't know for sure.
Because I remember seeing something where he's like, "Yeah, I wake up every morning and there's a rhinoceros just out my window." It's like
that sounds about right for the Irwin family.
All right,
I'd love to live in Australia. The chance to live with all that wildlife. People make fun of it all the time. It's like, oh yeah, you're living in like on a death world, but it's like, no, be awesome.
I know a guy from Australia. He's real nice. He's helping me with a lot of stuff. So
that's good. I do want to visit. I think if I were to ever like just travel somewhere for pleasure, it would probably be Australia.
Australia would be, honestly, if you could go anywhere in the world, let's tie this back to dinosaurs, to go fossil hunting, to go find dinosaurs, to go do fossil excursion, whatever you want to call it, where would you pick? Antarctica. I get this question way too often. You said Antarctica?
Mm-hmm. Without a shadow of a doubt, I would love to go to Antarctica. I'm sure I'd regret it halfway through being there, but I would love to go fossil hunting in Antarctica.
That's quite the drastic change from South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, I know. And the worst part is I'm from Florida, so anything below 70 degrees and I'm freezing. But I've always had a weird obsession with like Arctic exploration. So just being able to go to that part of the world and explore the way that the old guys.
Maybe you'll be able to see beyond the ice wall.
Maybe.
People joke, but I wish flat Earth lore was real. It sounds like so much fun.
You see, this is how little invested in the flat earther thing I am, because I immediately was thinking, oh, like the ice wall from Game of Thrones.
I like unjokingly saw a guy. He was not kidding. Where he was talking, he was like, why don't the dragons from Middle Earth fly over the ice wall into our world? And he was being dead serious about it. And you're like, I wish this was real. This sounds like so much fun. Just You know what? Beyond our world, there's still dinosaurs and stuff. There's still medieval people stabbing T-Rex. Let's have fun with this.
Mm-hmm. People don't know how to have fun. And the problem is the people that are having fun can be crazy.
Can't have the good without the bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm gonna start small and just say out west in general. I want to get out there first. I mean, I've been to like Dinosaur National Park and
As a tourist, not digging?
as a tourist, so
Yeah, I've not been to Dinosaur National Park yet. That's a dream spot.
that is a bucket list. You must go.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like a rite of passage.
I went to the American Museum a couple of weeks ago, my first time ever being in New York, and it was amazing. Amazing experience. And oddly enough, my favorite exhibit wasn't actually the Hall of the Dinosaurs.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. They were both amazing. They have some beautiful fossils preserved in there. And I'm a big Charles R. Knight fan, so getting to see the murals that he actually painted on display, and you can like get up close and see the brush strokes, it's awesome.
That's cool.
But really my favorite was probably the Hall of Biodiversity. And because not only just the Hall of Biodiversity, but it led up into the Hall of Marine Life, and the two just complemented each other really, really well. I felt I kind of got a little bit teary-eyed in the Hall of Biodiversity just because it's like you're seeing all this just amazing stuff on display, and you really get a sense of just how big life is and how diverse and how insane the planet is.
It truly is. Like, to have the ecosystem we have today is a very it makes you question a lot.
Yeah, it's a treasure beyond imagining. And it's really, really important that we try and preserve it and hold on to it as best we can. But it also is just, as a paleontologist, it like cut even deeper just because it's like, this is only a drop in the bucket of what, like, just imagining how much amazing stuff existed that we'll never know about. How many amazing creatures we'll have no idea ever existed. Like rainforest environments just don't preserve fossils well. And that's where like the majority of the world's biodiversity is found, is in a rainforest.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot. There's a lot there. I mean, we know a lot. I don't want to say, but I feel like we know more about Ice Age mammals than we do dinosaurs. And that's a very hefty statement. But we also had
we can infer a lot more. We can work a lot more with them.
I mean, you see, like, this is Coelodonta, a woolly rhinoceros skull. It looks like a normal rhinoceros skull. So
we know how a rhino behaves. We got a general gist of how they acted.
So you're like, okay, and you have like mammoths, you just look at elephants, you got Smilodon, you look at like tigers or jaguars or something. Well, not probably jaguars. So you can kind of make very easy estimates, but you like take like Saurophagonax. You're like, what do you even look at?
Also, sorry, go ahead. I interrupted. I was just going to geek out about how much I love Saurophagonax's name.
Oh, I do too. I love it.
It's so good. It's so unbelievably over the top.
It is. It is. Have you? What was that new dinosaur? They like basically named Thanos.
I don't remember, but I remember hearing that. There was a spider that they named Hot Wheels. And it was like, it doesn't violate any taxonomic rules, so we'll allow it.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, we found a dinosaur. Here, maybe you can probably pronounce this way better than I can. Although
I'd need to see it.
It basically is just speaking Latin.
Just because I took Latin doesn't mean that I'm good at it.
How do I?
Thanatoristes, Reaper of Death. Ooh, that's fun.
That it's like such a hardcore name. It's like, okay.
Or literally Death Harvester. You know one of my favorites? It's another Tyrannosaur. Is that a Tyrannosaur? Thanatoristes? Okay. Lithronax is another one I love, and that just translates to Gore King. And that's it's a great name.
It even has like a Allosaurid. Is it a
I think it's a Tyrannosaur, but it has that very prominent crest on it. On the lacrimal crest going on. Not as prominent as like an Allosaurus.
No. But
I mean, a lot of Tyrannosaurs have that same facial ornamentation going on in the same area.
They do.
It's weird. I can't tell if that's like convergent evolution or what, but I feel like there's something going on there with the two being so similar.
Well, I mean, is it? I mean, well, I guess did Allosaurids turn into Tyrannosaurids by any chance?
No. So Allosaurids and Tyrannosaurids are two separate groups. Allosaurids go on to evolve into Carcharodontosaurids, and those are the last members of that lineage. Tyrannosaurids.
I see that now. Carcharodontosauria. Yeah.
Tyrannosaurids are separate, and they start out. By the time of the late Jurassic, I think they're still mostly in Asia. Ooh, what's that? That looks great.
So this is the dinosaur family trip. I cannot figure out how to zoom on this thing. What is going on?
Did you make this yourself, or did you come across it?
I made this myself.
Oh, wow. It's impressive.
It's a very hefty working project.
Yeah, I can imagine. There was a great display in the Wyoming Dinosaur Center, I believe is the name of it. It's a really great museum in Hot Springs, Wyoming. But one of my favorite displays that they had was just a graphic of the dinosaur family tree. And it was like, this only gives you like a basic bare bones image of everything while still being in depth. And it was just massive. It looked like that one there.
I would love to see like this one.
Mm-hmm. But it looked more like a tree, and there was a skeletal of a member of each of those different groups.
Do I still have it over here? Yeah, like.
Yes, like that. The one at the top.
This.
Yes, more like that. Not exactly, but similar.
I was working on this, and I got to sauropods. Sauropods are very confusing.
How so? What about them?
Just the way they're broken down. I got to a point where, like, the research I was doing, like, I forgot which one it was. Like, this also goes, like, I think here somewhere too.
Mm-hmm.
Or before and after for some reason. But it's just because two or three different paleontologists just disagree on where it's at.
Yeah, that's
it just makes it
taxonomy is that it can really become, especially with paleontology and extinct animals, it's such a hard, with some animals, it's such a hard like decision of where to branch off and divide them.
Oh yeah, but I've got Parasaurolophosauria, Parasaurolophosaurids pretty much down, which I'll have to add to like next year. As you do.
Yeah, when you get to CSC, once you finish Geology 103 and 105, when you start taking classes with Dr. Persons, you'll be in shape real fast.
Stegosauria. This will be just like a useful tool to have in general. And
definitely.
This will be cool to have out in the public. Maybe get it published one day or something. I don't know. That's a hefty dream, but Yeah, theropods is a general layout. Ceratosauria breaks off. They turn into abelisaurids. Which is, I see it. I totally 100% see Ceratosaurus going to Abelisaurus. Abelisauri.
I don't know off the top of my head if that's true or not. I'm sure it is if you did your research, but
I mean,
I can't comment because I don't know for certain.
maybe it's not.
I can believe it though.
I 100% see it. What website did I use for this? But yeah, like we were talking.
Miro?
Yeah, I used Miro to make this, but I was talking about for the this link, what that link to. Geology.umd.edu. I'll trust
So
this.
geology, UMD, as in like University of Maryland?
I think so. Ceratosauria, and then it turns into Abelisaurus, which is kind of the end of that.
Oh yeah, Thomas Holtz works there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll trust it then. I'll
yeah,
trust
especially anything theropod related.
But yeah, this is kind of Jurassic. Cuts off about here-ish. It's kind of a little shifty. But it comes down, Molophosaurus, Megalosaurids, they come before Spinosaurids. Or no, Megalosaurids and Spinosaurids are closely related, which are very interesting idea. Allosaurids and Allosaurus breaks off, and then it goes to Carcharodontosaurids. Coelosauria, and then that breaks into Tyrannosaurids. Tyrannosauria. Yep. And this is... And over here you have Theracenosaurids and Ornithomimids. Yeah, but this is... I'm not excited to work on the theropod section of this because I know how diverse it will be and how tedious it will be. I still need to get through... I think I was working on ceratopsians last.
Yeah, welcome to paleontology.
Yeah, I don't remember. But this was also from... This is what the universe... Skeletons by Scott Hartman.
Yeah, he makes great skeletals.
This is like the basic breakdown that it'll show whenever I was doing research. And then I would just dig deeper into each section and break it off.
That's a good way to do it, yeah.
Because if I can somehow get every single dinosaur on here, I know I won't, and I'll miss one.
Yeah, because that list is constantly growing.
I'm not even going to touch pterosaurs yet. But if I can get dinosaurs on here. Also, let's see if you can catch it. Do you notice anything?
It's so small I can't really...
I put Sauropodomorpha with the Saurosuchians.
Saurians?
Yeah, that one. And put Theropoda and Ornithochia. God, I need to take like an actual that's what I should do. Instead of taking German, I should take Latin.
No, don't. Trust me.
It's a nightmare.
It's not as helpful for paleo as you think.
Really?
If you're going in it specifically for paleontology, it's not worth it.
Oh.
Like I was studying one book that I need to read for one of the classes that's highly recommended for a paleo student, and that would be our comparative vertebrate anatomy class. And I got my hands on a copy of the textbook. I stumbled across it like at the school library, not at the school library, in the math and science building. And it was in a box of free books. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. And I'm flipping through and I go to the index, and in the back is a whole like 4 pages of like different Latin and Greek stems that are all used in anatomy and taxonomy. And it's like, this is all that I wanted from Latin. And I never learned any of this.
You're like, where's
This is all that I wanted, and it's right here. I mean, I am grateful that I am glad that I took the Latin courses, because it's where I met my girlfriend and some of my very, very close friends. But if I had the choice, I would much rather have learned Spanish or another language that I can use when I'm actually out in the field.
Yeah, that would be.
You know?
Yeah.
Latin, there's just not much that I can really do with it.
Unless you're naming the dinosaur yourself, it's kind of...
Yeah. I mean, I did stumble. I mean, if you're reading like a really, really, really old manuscript about natural history where they still wrote in Latin, maybe it'd be useful.
Well, that's different altogether. That's translation. That's not.
Yeah, that's not a natural history skill.
Yeah, it's not a natural history skill. That's like eating. Not eating. That's like reading that's like reading the Iliad in just Greek. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, and if you're taking, that's another thing, is that you're not learning about anatomy or anatomical terms in these classes. You're reading the Iliad, the Odyssey, or Roman history, and it's like, that's great, but I don't care at all. It's not what I'm focusing on.
It would be an interesting class, like anatomy-based language.
They have it.
They do?
Yeah, it's our classics department is the one that offers it, actually.
Does that count as a language credit?
I don't think it does. I think it's I wish it did, but I think it just counts as like an elective or something like that.
Yeah, whatever. I'll have to figure that out.
Again, you're going to learn more from comparative vertebrate anatomy about that stuff.
Uropod, Stegosauria, Ankylosauria, I would love to see in person. Stegosauria in general are very beautiful creatures.
They are. They're very pretty animals. However, it is almost 10 o'clock my time, so your time too.
Oh, wait, yeah. Never mind. I see it now. Yeah, so we should probably wrap it up.
I do have work in the morning.
All right, we'll wrap it up with one more question here.
Sure, absolutely.
So, I mean, just a little about yourself. What got you into paleontology, and what advice would you give to anybody coming up into the paleo world, if you will?
So I told you the Jurassic Park story. That was really it. That was the inspiration. Like, I've been obsessed with dinosaurs since that moment, and that kind of just never stopped. Like, from the moment I knew what a paleontologist was, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. Walking with dinosaurs only made that worse, because now I was like, oh, these aren't just like really cool movie monsters. They're actual creatures you can learn about.
Wait till he figures out Walking with Beasts.
Walking with Beasts was good. I preferred Walking with Monsters out of the 3 of them.
Oh, yeah, no. That one.
I mean, Walking with Dinosaurs is still the best, but after that, it goes Walking with Dinosaurs, Walking with Monsters, and then Walking with Beasts. For me.
That's like asking which is your favorite Jurassic Park movie, 1, 2, or 3. Obviously, the first one is the best because it's.
I prefer 2.
The second one, I'm still putting it at number 2.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The first one is technically the best out of them, but I just like, my favorite scenes are from the second movie.
Oh, yeah, no, the second movie is amazing. The third movie, I feel, gets a bad rap. I love the third movie. The third movie is fine for what it is. I like that it's only an hour long. It's a nice short watch. Yeah, I remember reading an interview, a review about it, and someone said it's like the great thing about that movie is that it doesn't overstay its welcome. Yeah, I mean, which isn't a great thing to say about the movie, but it does tell a fun story, though. Yeah. But anyway, what advice would I give to people coming into paleontology? That's a good question.
I would say it's just never stop being updated, like updating yourself, trying to stay current with knowledge, trying to know what's new, what's happening. Have a good background in anatomical knowledge, like know all the bones in the body. It sounds a lot worse than it actually is. There are some great anatomical guides, especially for paleo specifically online. You can look up. That's the thing, is like just educate yourself. You know, there's plenty of amazing resources that you can go to find paleontological books, like online textbooks, all sorts of stuff. That would really be it. Is just never stop trying to learn more and more about it. And get involved locally. That would be another thing, is that if I used to think that I had to go to school out west, drop everything here on the East Coast, and that's the only place I could go.
That's what I thought for the longest time too.
Yeah, which is not true in the slightest. If you can find a local place, and odds are there is one, no matter where you are in the world, there's fossils everywhere, and they may not be dinosaurs. Like here in South Carolina, we've got a lot of whale paleontology, but it's like go local before you go farther out.
I mean, this is just like a whale where the skull would connect to the whale.
Mm-hmm.
I just have, because why not? I mean, that's pretty much why I own everything I own. Except for bed, clothing, and food. But
look around you before you start looking further out.
That is, yeah.
People don't realize just how many opportunities there might be around you.
I mean, even here in South Carolina, you can go in not pretty much any creek. I won't say any creek, but a lot of the creeks do have just shark teeth and mammals, whales.
And visit your local museum. They need the support.
For real. We could get some more dinosaurs in the South Carolina State Museum.
Yeah, that we do.
That would be very, very welcome.
Well, the problem is that we just don't have many dinosaurs in South Carolina.
Actually, no, they're hiding everything in the basement. I know that for a fact. It's not dinosaurs. They're hiding just everything in the basement. That makes me mad.
Most museums do that. 90% of what they have is not on display. It's hidden in collections.
That's true.
Yeah.
I want them to put their elk skull out. That would be so cool.
Elk are very, very pretty creatures.
Very much so. Well, if you got to go take a nap, by that I mean sleep. Go sleep.
Yeah, it's kind of a nap. You could call it that. It's a little bit above that.
So,
but yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on again, man. It was awesome spending time with you.
I mean, you'll get used to it. You'll have to do it for the next 2 years.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I guess if you got to go, you got to go. I'll let you sign off. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, of course. It's a pleasure to be back. Looking forward to seeing you live and in color at CFC.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Well, if you got to go, you got to go.
All right. Take care, man. Have a good night.
Good night. That was Michael Wallington. If you want to see more of me, go check it. If you want to actually see what I was looking at, it is accessible to literally everyone that has access to Instagram. You just go to my bio. It's the bottom link. From there, you can also get to my YouTube channel, the Spotify, and the official website. But if you want to see more from me, go check out my Instagram. And if you want my content early-ish, I guess if you want to call it, go check out my YouTube channel. I try to post 2-ish days in advance to everything else. And by that, I mean I post Monday and Wednesday on there, and on everything else, it's Wednesday and Friday. Technically, I post 3 times a week. But if you want everything, all of my content in one place, just check out my website, prehistoriclifepodcast.com. From there, you can get to my YouTube and my Instagram. You can just scroll around, check out interviews. There was that interview with Michael Wallington. What am I saying? Dr. Persons and Michael Wallington about their Wyoming visit. But that's all for me. I'm your host, Eric Crawford, signing off. This has been Prehistoric Life Podcast. I will see you all next time. Remember, keep it prehistoric. Goodbye.